Hello, I'm so excited. Today we get to talk to Dr. Saf Buxy. Hi, Saf.
Hi, Kath Guru. How you doing?
Saf Guru. Well, what I'm so excited about is bringing Saf to Conscious Business Zone because he knows how to help you get out of the madness. And certainly the past 2 years have been madness for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're a mother or father or grandmother or grandfather, whatever it is. We've been through things that just don't make sense. And they continue to baffle your sense of reality. And so when Saf agreed to come on, I was so excited because he did write the book about getting out of the madness. And as you can see in the subtitle, it says A Message of Hope, which is what we're doing here today, is we're going to talk about all the trials and tribulations and the changes and how Saf sees how we can get to this new reality, right?
Yeah, exactly that. And would you believe, Kathy, it's been, what was it, March, April? It's been over a year since we published that book. It's been over a year. I don't know where the year's gone, but it's it was received so well. And of course, you are my main publisher and publicist and mentor. And a year ago, we spoke about so many things where we would possibly see myself a year, 2 years down the line, and I'm pleased to say a few things are happening.
Yeah, cool. Well, it's so funny when I work with someone who isn't used to anyone doing psychic readings, and you can sort of go, they're looking at it like, what did I get myself into? Who is this lady? Yeah. But then it's not me, it's your soul talking to you. It really is. So it makes total sense that you have a heart of gold, but you also have experience that could help guide people through that loving heart to out of the madness. And seriously, madness can be any kind of addiction. It's not just drugs. It's not just alcohol. It's, anything can be an addiction, right?
100%. I mean, my addiction wasn't just drugs and alcohol; it was gambling. But people have sex addiction, food addiction, gaming addiction. Addiction comes in many forms, and that's what I try and do, is try and help as many people as I can through my experience, personal experience. But in addition to that, obviously, as you know, I've got a vocational experience, and I also have academic experience now. So I feel grateful that I can come from 3 different angles and try and help as many people as I can. But I think what gives me a little bit of an advantage, without coming out of a place of ego, because this is not about ego, this is about coming from a place of love, a place of hope, is that I've lived it. I've actually lived it, and I've come out of it. And I'm not going to say that I'll always stay out of it, because I don't want to get complacent, but I will do my best to stay where I am. And as long as I'm in this spiritual fit condition and helping as many people as I can globally, I like to think that I will stay on this path, and that's the plan.
Of course, that's what you are. You are like Keira Reeves in a lot of ways. I know you like Al Pacino, but
what do you want here? What do you want here? Oh, beautiful.
But in Keira Reeves, when you think about him, he has this strength and power and knowing. But there's a sense that you've experienced the sadness, and that's how you're so compassionate. That's what I want people to understand, what a beautiful gift your presence is, the way you hold someone else's experience. You're not laughing, you're right there with them, because you've lived it, and you know the big picture of them getting out, and you can be their coach, their mentor, their support as they start to see it as well. Because when you're in when you're in it, you can't get out, you can't see.
You can't, and especially when it grabs you, like it did me. I mean, it's funny you say that, because all the way up to the start of recovery or rehabilitation, up until walking up those steps, I didn't believe I had a problem. and that's when you can't see. That's when it grabs you in such a way that you've destroyed everyone around you, destroyed your own life. And we're not just talking emotionally, we're talking financially, we're talking physically. You've destroyed and destructed so much, yet you still don't see. And that's the power of addiction. That's the power of this evil, if you like. And that's what it did to me. And it grabbed me so much. I couldn't see it. Even when I was walking up those steps, taking my first step into recovery, which I've said many times reluctantly, but I was walking up those stairs just to keep the family sweet, if you like, fly the flag. And I had no intention to stop my life, because I didn't believe I had a problem. But when I walked up those steps and I went into the room, and I've said this story many a time, something happened. And it wasn't about being rock bottom. It was about being broken and just being done. And I broke down for about 10, 15 minutes, and that was it. I haven't touched a drink or drug or gambled since that day. But it took up until that moment, up those stairs, in that room, for the first time in 33 years, that I believed that I had a problem. Up until that moment, pure denial. So you're right. When it grabs you, and you don't see. You just can't see. It's like you got blinkers on, and you're not seeing anything. Even with blinkers, you're going straight. I mean, I was going like this without actually knowing that I was going like this. And that's the power. That's the power of addiction. The power of addiction makes you have not a lot of power, because you feel that there isn't a problem in the first place. So when you genuinely feel that you haven't got a problem, that's a big problem, especially when you have a problem. And that was my story. And I think that's everyone's story who's entrapped and ensnared by addiction. This is not just drink. This is not just drugs. We're talking sex addiction. We're talking gaming. We're talking food addiction, gambling, which is also one of my DOCs, as you call it. And I do call it a drug of choice. Gambling was like a drug. My issue was I did all of them together in one go. It came as a package. But even after saying that, years of destruction to my family, to my friends, to myself, I still didn't believe I had a problem. But yeah, you're right, Kathy, when you say you just don't see it. And I didn't see it. All the way up to that room. I still didn't see it.
I don't think we can see any of our stuff really unless we try. and the thing is that you were still trying to help people in your game, but you weren't being you couldn't be relied upon by your family. Like you were still from all the stories in your book. And this is a great book. It's a great read. There's one part that's a little hard, but this is really a candid, and it's a revealing expression of what Saf's been through, so that if you have had issues in your life, you won't be afraid to talk to him at all, because he's seen it all. He's might have done some of it. But you were like playing a game. It was that was how you played it, and you played it full out. But your family, that's the thing that is just amazing to me, how beautiful all of this has worked out, that with your family and with your loved ones, that they understood there was just a phase. Is that correct to say that?
Yeah, I think it is. But I think I've got to be very grateful, very blessed, and very lucky that they actually stayed. My wife in particular, by her staying, the children stayed, because I wouldn't blame her if she left. But I'm very grateful that she did stay, to see me how I am on the other side, how I came through. And perhaps if she didn't stay, I don't know, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be where I am today. So I owe a lot to my family, in particular, for not ridiculing me, but for supporting me. And I think that's what humanity is at its best, when we support each other to, to redemption, right, and not ridicule. Yes, it was very hard for them, but I think they did their research. I think they saw that, you know what, deep down, I wasn't a bad guy. It's just that when I was intoxicated, I did a lot of bad things, and they felt that, well, they saw that they recognized that I needed help, and even when I didn't recognize that, they recognized that. And
right,
as I say, the only first recognition or confirmation or if you like, agreement was when I was in that room. That was the first time.
Wow.
As I said, in 3 years.
That's big, huh? That's big. That's big. So Kathy Roberts, hi, Kath. She's here, and she says the power of both of you can be felt. Your authenticity is evident.
Oh, that's it. And I think a lot to do with that as well. Thank you, Kathy, for that. Kathy with a C, because I'm talking to Kathy with a K. I think when I first met you, Kathy, and we're talking nearly 18 months ago, I think, maybe a bit longer, I'm not sure, but it was definitely over a year ago. And we're two different people, but what we do have is something very similar, and that's within. Intrinsically, we have this, we have the same love, the love for connection, the love for humanity. We share a lot of things in that way. And on the face of it, you'd probably never see me and Kathy rolling down, moving together on the streets of Colorado or the streets of London. You probably wouldn't see that. But it's technology and the pandemic, which, one of the few good things that happened out of the pandemic was this connection, this global connection that we could have through technology like this, and we still continued having it. Myself, Kathy got together through a lovely introduction. Debbie G in the house, who's since been married, which is congratulations, Debbie G. And we hit it off because we shared the same love, the love of connection, the love of humanity, the fight against injustice, whatever you want to call it, but the love for spirituality. And I think, and that wasn't because of any external factors. It was because intrinsically and from within we connected, and because of that connection, it's like, Kathy published my book because I think she believed in the book, and I believed in her having full control over that, and we put a plan together. We put a medium to long-term plan together, and I'm happy to say that the medium-term plan has started this year. So, which of course I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, and I think that's why we connected, not just because of the connection and the same thing that we shared, but as Kathy said, the authenticity that we bring together, because we're real, genuine, humble people who've seen certain things in life, and we're survivors, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Well, I'd love for you to talk about all the things that you've done in the past 2 years, because that's the other thing, is that if you're feeling depressed and you may think you have an addiction problem, or you just can't seem to get out of the depression, which is also addictive, you may really want to work with Saf, because Saf can help you get real. And then once you get real, you can get to the core of what is blocking you from you being the highest version of you. So Saf, let's talk, because even in the past 2 years, so we created your book because you were speaking at an event that COVID killed, but you also got the virus and got sick with it, and still got your doctorate, did your class with John DeMartini, Dr. DeMartini. Can you go through? I mean, you could do a list this long. It's so awesome. Everything that happened to you in the past 2 years.
Yeah, it was.
Share some of that?
Yeah, of course it was. It's on one hand, it was a phenomenal year, but it had its setbacks. It had a lot of setbacks. In fact, I experienced a couple of close bereavements, which hit me hard. So I'll give a shout out to my brother Zach, who passed away from COVID. And my love goes out to his wife and his children. But that was a big setback. But I had a radio show that I did called Saf Surgery, which I continued. It was a show about mental health and addiction, which I don't do anymore, but that was amazing. Prior to that, I was on a big TV station called Sky TV. I know a lot of UK and European people who have tuned in or will tune in will be aware of Sky TV. And I was a lead host of a show called Men's Talk, which was a fascinating experience. I'd like to say thank you to Rocco Branvino, who's the producer, and who saw something in me, and believed in me and believed that I could bring something to the show. So again, I'm very grateful for that. But then the pandemic hit real hard, the second year of the pandemic, and myself and Kathy got together, and we were, determined to get this book out of the madness, The Message of Hope, that I wrote. And I think it's over 3 years, 2.5 years or whatever, maybe a bit longer. It took me to write the book, but she helped me get it published sooner rather than I'd expected, because I was invited to an authors conference in the UAE in Dubai, and I had an opportunity to have my book launch and also speak live at an event. So hence we got this book published pretty quickly. And the day before I was off to go to Dubai via Qatar, I tested positive for COVID, so I was unable to fly. And that's sort of devastated me a little bit, because everything that I'd worked for, the book I wrote for, the launch and the talk that I'd been invited to do in Dubai, it just shattered within seconds, within the test results coming, basically. And I was very disheartened and very excuse me, I was very sad. And but I managed to do the talk live, again using technology. I had someone out there on my behalf who had my books on a stall, so that was taken care of. Not the perfect way I would have liked it, but hey, it was something. So I managed to do my talk still on a massive projector screen, so everyone who attended the conference, the authors conference, saw me, heard me. I managed to get my message across, which was great, and obviously talk about the book, which was also great. So it happened in the end. And then a month later, I was blessed with being honoured with an honorary doctorate in humane letters for the work that I've done in addiction. But I also did a lot of charity work, which I don't really like talking about, because it's I do it from within. But
please talk about it.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
the reason is that people don't realize that the more they give, the more it helps them. And that depression, the best thing you could do if you're depressed is go help somebody.
Yeah.
Which you get an A+. You get a gold star.
It's the best anecdote for depression, for addiction, for any kind of mental ailment or illness. And I got involved with a couple of charities where we helped with water wells and education for orphans in Pakistan, which was more or less in place before I actually joined it. But that was, I was a big part of that. Did a bit of work, and now I'm doing a bit of work in Morocco because I've also got a business there, which I'll talk about in a bit. But 10% of the business net profits go to orphanages, to children in Morocco, not just to provide food and shelter and clothing, but also to provide education, to try and empower children to be something, to want to be something, to be motivated, to have a life, to have a reason to wake up in the morning. So all this charitable work that I'm blessed to be able to do, yes, as Kathy said, it helps me tremendously. but it's something that's very close to my heart, especially helping children in various circumstances, in war, you know, innocent children who've been, you know, things that are happening in the world, absolutely dreadful. So if I can play a small part in trying to help, not just financially, but in empowering children. Anyone can give money, and thank you for people who do. Anyone can provide food, and again, thank you for that, and clothes and shelter. But what next? What next? Their life is, you know, still the same. So what I try and do, what I'm trying to do, is to empower children, empower families by having education brought to them, by giving them opportunities to work if they're older or later on. So this is the charitable work. So because of this, I was honoured with a beautiful doctorate from a biblical university, a global biblical university, and thank you for that. It was a massive day, the ceremony itself, and really humbled, and it was like, wow. I mean, I would never have predicted anything like this. Yes, look, I'm not a doctor from education. I'm not a doctor, a medical doctor, but I'm an honorary doctor, and I feel very proud because of the reason I was honoured with it. And I thank everyone who recognised or who felt that I was worthy of this honour. So yes, and that's because of the work in addiction, and the book played a big part, but also with the charitable activities that I did, and I continue to do so.
Well, the other thing that I remember that was a big part of the work that you did was a radio show called Men's Talk. And that really gave a voice, because, you know, men are taught to be these tough, you know, we'll protect the family. And here was this lockdown and people getting sick all over the place. And there was a lot of need to get through your core trauma issues at that time, because everybody was being triggered. I mean, nobody that's honest with themselves wasn't getting triggered during that time. So you were showing up as, hey, come talk to me. I'm, you know, let's get real. I've been in the madness. This is madness. I can be your guide through it, right?
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, the Men's Talk was the TV show, but I think you're actually talking about the Saf Surgery, which was the radio show. But both had the same aim, really, is to help people get out of the madness in one way. The radio show was an amazing experience. It was just me, myself, and I, but I had guests that came in and spoke about their stories, and people from different walks of life, people who've had it hard, people who've still got it hard, but there is a way out. There is a way out, and you can get out of absolutely anything. And that was the purpose behind that show, whether it be mental health or addiction. And people used to phone in and write in and text in, and we would try and answer their questions. And it was amazing, the response that I had from that show. And I'd like to think that we helped a lot of people because of that show, especially on a Sunday evening. It was great. And then the opportunity to be on TV, the Sky Television. I mean, that show was called Men's Talk, and you're right. This attitude that men have to be a certain way had to be dissolved really straight away. And I think that was the aim of this show. But also 3 regular guys who've got their own journey, who've had their own journey, their own experiences, myself being one of them. Thankfully, I was given the lead host, so I was like going back and forth with the other 2 guys. But we were just talking about everyday things, Kathy.
Right.
But we're also talking about nutrition. We're also talking about exercise. We were talking about growing up as a child, as a young boy. Is it okay to give your son a machine gun? Is it not okay to give him when I mean machine gun, I mean a toy machine gun, sorry. Or a car. Okay, I'm a bit wrong, especially with what's been going on at the moment, but you know what I mean. But why is it not okay to give your son a doll? And the conversations like that, it was amazing what it brought up, and it was a great show. 13 weeks of filming. We filmed it in very quick time. There was some great, I mean, on the actual channel, Feel Good Factor TV, Sky Channel 749, can't forget it. There were some pretty top people there. Joe Vitale was on the, you know, Joe Vitale.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he was on the channel. Kim Mazel from Soul to Soul, the first lady of house music. She was on there. The lead singer from M People, and I can't remember her name. If she's watching, she's going to kill me. She was on there. Kareem, who's now my head of well-being, health and well-being in this rehab retreat that we'll talk about in a bit. She was on the show. There was a couple of bands and famous people. You know, it was. So there was a lot of substance to this TV channel.
Well,
which I played a little part in, and again, very grateful.
Well, I think what you're doing a lot of times, and I don't even know how you're doing it, but you instinctively are looking at all of the conditioning and the patterns that we blindly followed as children of society, where, for instance, men have this role, women have that role, and kind of taking a look at those roles and seeing, because that's part of the depression and the mental health issues, is that those roles don't fit anymore. And people are still, like, for instance, somebody goes through their whole life, does everything their parents told them to do to be happy. And then they get to their 40th year and it's like, this wasn't the right road for me. And it's not like they want to totally get a divorce and change everything, but they did everything right. And so you brought light, you shed light on lots of different ways of looking at things and questioning that paradigm that doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't, and again, it's how you're conditioned, aren't you? It's how you're conditioned when you're growing up, and it's difficult to get out of that conditioning. Well, I say it's difficult. People think it's difficult. There is a way out. I mean, I was conditioned a certain way. You were conditioned in a certain way. And because of that conditioning, we believed that's the norm and that's the way it should be. But it's not that way at all. So a lot of my work, the Buxy Recovery Process, which of course I practice privately with my clients, but also it's the main modality, the main creation at the recovery retreat that I've recently opened and founded. A lot of it aims at coming out of what you think is the norm because of the way you've been conditioned, and coming out of that and dissolving a lot of things as well, dissolving guilt, dissolving shame. Because I remember the first time through my process, and I've created this process because of working with some leading human behavioral and addiction specialists, or addiction specialists, like, you know, I mean, in terms of human behavior, Dr. John Demartini, they don't come better than him. But, you know, Gabor and TJ Woodward, who we know, and working with, you know, looking at the works of Bruce Alexander and Russell Brand, and some of these people who I've met and know personally, I've brought together and created my own modality, my own process called the Buxy Recovery Process, which focuses on dissolving what needs to be dissolved, reconditioning what needs to be reconditioned, but also empowerment and self-love and self-confidence, but coming out of self as well. And it's a wonderful program. I'm very grateful that I had the tools, the experience, and the people around me to be able to create something. And if you work it, it's going to work. And that's the thing. But the best thing about this program, the best thing about the Buxy Recovery Process, in addition to the empowerment, in addition to dissolving what needs to be dissolved, in addition to loving yourself and caring for yourself and bringing everything to an equilibrium, that's a big part. We work with omnipresent laws, different laws. And the biggest law that I work with is the law of duality, the law of heuristic escalation. And these are the laws that I incorporate within my modality, within my process. And it doesn't just work with addiction. It works with people who are experiencing depression, anxiety, or just want to get out of a rut, or just want to be reconditioned, or get out of the condition that they've been brought up in. So I'm very proud of this program, and I'm very grateful that I've been able to work with some of the leaders, the pioneers in addiction fields, human behavior field, and this is the program, the main program that is used in my retreat, my rehabilitation recovery retreat, which is in Marrakesh, in Morocco, and it's so exciting, and I can't wait to talk about it. But I'm waiting on you, Kathy. I really want to talk about it.
Well, I just want to make sure that people understand what a gift this Buxy method is, because you have, not only do you have this incredible experiences, which people can read about in your book, not only do you have the personal insight, so anything that someone could tell you, you would not be surprised or judgmental about. You would not be shocked.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. And can I say something on that point about non-judgmental? And I'm going to be real here, Kathy.
Yes.
You know, when you go to these places and they say we're non-judgmental, we're this, we're that. Well, through my human behavioral work, that's near enough impossible to be non-judgmental. Now, and let's say this with respect. Everyone has a judgment, and it's okay. It's okay to have a judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah. People judge me when they see me wearing these glasses. I know why I wear them. I know because of my eye condition, blah, blah, blah. But people will have that judgment. It doesn't have to be a bad judgment, but everyone has a judgment of some sort. Even when a client walks in and he's probably wearing a certain pair of trousers, even I'm going to think, I want to judge, not judge in a bad way, but so I don't believe in a non-judgment facility. I know where we come from, and I also don't believe in practice makes perfect. I believe in practice makes progression, but not perfection. And I think life is progression. So in terms of judgmental, you know, everyone, it's human behavior. It's normal, and it's okay. It's okay to be judgmental.
What I guess I was saying is that I think that people label things as safe, not safe, and I think that you can go deeper and see what the real, the projection that you see may be just an indication of something else that you can actually help them with.
Yes.
And so that's what I meant by being non-judgmental, because you aren't looking at them as a project.
Yeah.
You're looking at them really core into their heart and seeing what wants to be expressed that cannot be expressed. And that's what's being blocked by the addiction or by the misconception of reality, because we're all creating this thing right now, right?
I mean, and of course I agree with you. There'll be no judgment in what is brought in front of me, in terms of stories, in terms of addiction, in terms of mental health, because one, I've experienced it myself, and or have had experience of it, and from other clients or from the people I've been with. So there's nothing really, there's not a lot out there that can faze me. There's not a lot out there that can surprise me. But there's a lot out there that I can work with because of the experiences, the personal and the academic and the vocational experience.
The other thing I want to share is that I have seen you shed light on things with humor that really takes the edge off. And not everybody can do that very well, very elegantly. You can. Some people, if they were doing that, you would, the person that's talking to you would feel like you're laughing at them, but you're not really. You're laughing at, oh, I have that aspect.
Exactly that. I remember a client telling me something. So I have clients who tell me some of their stories. Usually the consequences of addiction and how they got arrested for certain things and what they've done when they've been on a drug. And I would just come out and go, yeah. I know, because I know what he's saying and she's saying, and then maybe I might help them, or I might finish the sentence off because I know what they're going to say because I've done it, Kathy.
That's right.
And then they look at me and think, yeah, they agree with me because they knew I said what they were going to say.
Right.
And I think that helps.
Right. Of course, you're meeting them where they are. and not judging them because, oops, yep, I took that road less traveled also and didn't lead where I wanted. But that's what I'm saying is that so many people are afraid. There's so much shame that's embedded in our essence, actually, that needs to be released right now. Well, it needs to be released whenever you're ready. Actually, I shouldn't say right now, but I think that's what a lot of what your gift is that shame, nah, there isn't any shame.
Can't have it. I mean, if you don't dissolve shame and guilt or regret or whatever you want to call it, you can't move on. You know what? There's two things that hold us back as humanity, Kathy. One is guilt and shame from the past, and two is fear of the future. You can't predict the future, and you can't change the past. Live in the moment. And if you live with those two things, you're going to stay in that rut, and you're not going to move up. You're not going to get out of that hole. Live in the moment. It's all about the moment. Easier said than done sometimes, but live in the moment. And if you can dissolve that guilt and shame, not even worry about what's going to happen, you'll have a more fruitful and more fulfilling life.
I want to share this real quick. Kathy also put the doctor is to be measured by the health of the community and building a world children are excited to wake up in. Sounds like the prescription that moves us closer to a world that works for everyone. Because exactly it is what we expose our children to, what emotional skills we teach.
Kathy Roberts, that is such a beautiful thing you've just said. Please connect with me on Facebook, Dr. Saf Buxy, on my different pages and groups. Yeah. I would love to communicate with you. That's fantastic.
She works a lot with the indigenous. She's amazing lady. She's amazing. So Saf, okay, so we talked about the Buxy method, and we talked about, I think you didn't tell us about all your awards the past 2 years. Oh. But do you mind? I know you don't want to do it, but I know you don't want to do it. But the thing is that I think that people don't realize we're in this huge time of change, and there's so much opportunity if you don't stand on the sidelines and wait and watch and think if it's safe enough to get visible or to do something. And you're the poster child of, well, for me, I'm so filled of respect and honor for everything that you do, because you're out there doing it. You're not talking about it. So many people talk about things. They're gonna write the book. They're gonna do this. They're gonna do that. And you're out there going, okay, how do I make the world a better place? And you figured out ways to do it. And then you have gotten the honors from people recognizing your huge contribution. I don't even think you realize how big the contribution is. So would you share a little bit? Or
I can do, yeah, I can. I mean,
okay.
I think the first award that I was privileged and blessed to receive was a Global Humanitarian Award as a global change maker. And it sounds so massive, and I guess it is, but it's things you don't expect. And it was presented to me by LONI, which is LOANI, Ladies of All Nations, and World Leaders Association, and that was because of standing up for female rights and feminism and recognizing women around the world. So and talking and doing shows towards that. So that's why I got that one. Got another award from a business, an organization, should I say, called Mentor X. And it's difficult to pronounce this, but it's called the Dr. Sarapalli Radkrishnan Award. And that was an award of honor, again, for the work that I've done in addiction and the work that I've done in speaking and giving a message of hope in India in particular, but also globally. Of course, you know about the honorary doctorate in humane letters, which arguably was my biggest achievement. I got a Black Blazer Award by Dr. Carl Wilson, that some of you may know of. And that award was given to me for leadership, excellence, and achievement. So again, very blessed for that. I got another award from Lonely and the Worldwide Leaders Association. That was for an agent of change recognition. There's a couple more. Institute of Global Professionals. That was an achievement award, and I got a peace medal. I got a peace medal from Professor Ambassador Abdul Ghani, who does a lot of work in Yemen. I'm yet to do the work in Yemen with him, but he recognized something, and I was awarded with the peace medal. And I mean, I'm sure there's a couple more I don't even know now, but you know what? It's so overwhelming. Blessed and grateful, and it's nice to receive these things. It really is, because when I was in the madness, it's people just wanted me for drugs, and people wanted me because they wanted to use me, and people called me to see if I've got this or if I can get them something. But now it's different. People are recognizing work that they believe that I've done is good, and it's so nice. It's welcoming. It's humble, and it's emotional at times, Kathy. It's emotional at times.
Well, what I want people to understand is that this is the perfect time to show up and stand for something. And that's what and that's part of what Saf did, is he started going, how do I serve? How do I make this world better? How can I use my connections, my network to help a bunch of people? And you're really good at networking, which I love too. I love connecting the dots, and then sort of connecting to people and then walking away and seeing what happens later. And that's another thing, that people that are stuck in their own dream, kind of, they don't realize the opportunity that once they get out of getting into this whole experience. So Saf, okay, so you have the Saf, you have the Buxy method.
I changed the name to Buxy Recovery Process.
Oh, okay, sorry, Recovery Process.
It's Buxy method.
Okay, and when you, could you talk a little bit about some results without saying too much so nobody could be recognized? Could you talk about a little bit, because you obviously are still learning. You're a constant learner. You're a constant connector to people. Once you see a problem, you're always trying to get the solution for your clients. Could you talk a little bit about some solutions that you've been able to have?
Of course. I've had, again, in the last 2 years, I've had numerous clients come to me globally, clients from Australia, South Africa, United States, and of course, in the UK, Turkey as well. How can I forget one of my really good clients from Turkey, from Istanbul. But I want to mention one client in particular from Australia. Very good profession he's in. He's in dentistry, and he came to me 18 months ago now, maybe around that time, with an addiction to nitrous oxide, otherwise known as laughing gas, which is something that when he was in training in dentistry, they used that at university. And he came to me, his wife, in fact, contacted me, and then we started working together. And I've got to say that he's doing so well today, so well, through going through the Buxy recovery process with myself over the last 18 months or so. And what I see in him today compared to what he was like when he first came is, I see peace, I see serenity, I see an empowered person, I see someone who can look at the other side of things when things seem to be down. I can see someone who looks at both sides of everything now, where he didn't. And I could see someone who has inevitably stopped using, but not to say that that may not, you know, grab you again in the future. But if he does what the process says, and if he continues working the process and the way he has been, there's every chance that he may, you know, he'll never go back to that again. And there's every chance that he'll live a life of empowerment, a life of serenity, a life of action, vision, a life with his family, because he has his family who did support him and who are supporting him, who are with him today. And he's had a few setbacks, not in terms of using setbacks, but setbacks with bereavements and family issues, which he has overcome with relative ease. And that is purely down to him working the Buxy recovery process. And I commend him and take my hat off to him, because he has done remarkable. And I wanted to say this because he is definitely one of the success stories. But the first killer is complacency, and I hope he doesn't become complacent and keeps on working. And we do have a couple of sessions still left, quite a few actually. So hopefully he'll be ready for when our sessions come to an end. But I'll always be there for him, and I'm there for all my clients. Massive congratulations to him, because he wanted to make this change. He wanted to come out of the life that he was living, and I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally, and he is doing incredible. Other clients to mention very briefly, well, a couple of young clients, cannabis addiction, cocaine addiction, and again, they're doing very well, very well. They continue to use the Buxy recovery process because they see it works. But the biggest thing they see that is different. It's different from any other modality, because I don't focus on addiction per se, and I don't talk about addiction in every session, if at all. And I talk about empowerment, and I talk about connection, and I talk about the laws of duality, the omnipresent laws that I spoke about. And I talk about dissolving various things in your life that need to be dissolved, because it's all aimed at self-empowerment and self-love and self-confidence, but coming out of self at the same time. They're learning something very different. When a client comes to me for the first time, I say to them, "You're going to learn, you know, I guarantee two things. One, I'll change your life forever. And two, you'll learn something different. I can't guarantee that I'll stop you from addiction. I can't guarantee that your anxiety will just be dissolved. All I can guarantee you, that you'll learn something different, and I'll change your life forever." And I like to think that everyone who has gone through or is going through the Buxy recovery process is experiencing that. So there's just a couple of stories that I'd like to talk about, or that I've spoken about, is my chap from Australia, fantastic. And a couple of young lads, you know, cannabis and cocaine addiction, who are doing really well. Look, I'm not going to say that my process is perfect, but nothing's perfect. It's all about progression. And if you do work it, it will work for you. So yes, there have been some clients who have gone back, but they've come back again. You know, and that's the beautiful thing. Is when you're down, it's not about being down. It's about how you get up. And they've got up and they've come back, to use the process because they can see it works. But the only time it doesn't work is when you stop working with it. And so,
Right.
Yeah, that's just in a nutshell, Kathy. Obviously, I can't say the names and so forth, but yeah, you know, it's so remarkable to see people from when they first come in to when they leave, or near the end of their sessions, or see them progress, and it's beautiful. I love it because it's something that I created and it's actually working, and it's just an amazing feeling. There's nothing better than that.
Yes, I mean, think about you know, how many years ago you would have been the student, and but I think that what you're saying about your recovery method is that process is that that you're still learning and adding to it, because that's the beauty of it. I think that's true even in my business. Doing this this is my 22nd year. I still learn every single day. I still do. And that's the, you know, when you're sedated, you don't really recognize that or have any fun about it. But when you're totally present, you can really grasp onto it and keep growing and growing and being excited about your life.
Yeah, definitely. And that's the same process that I use in my recovery retreat. Can I speak about it, Kathy?
Yes, yes, please. Yes, please.
Well, if you remember, 18 months ago, whatever it was, we had a plan, didn't we? And one of the plan was to not only have the process that people could learn from, but also have a facility of some kind.
That's right.
And I've had a tough year, okay, and I don't want to go into it, but it's been a really tough year, and I was pretty much down in the dumps for the first part of this year. I won't say I gave up, but I was, lack of motivation, lack of desire. I was definitely in a state of depression. And what got me out of that was the plan that we put into place last year.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you.
The plan was to start working towards this facility, and it's done. I've done it. I've it's so exciting. It's called the Riyadh Recovery Retreat. Riyadh, spelled R-I-A-D. You'll probably get the thing coming on the bottom in a minute. Please look at the website, www.riyadhrecovery.com. It's a project that I'm again very proud of. It's been a couple of years in the making, but it got me out of my rut recently, and it's an exclusive 7-star retreat. Yes, there is a 2-week option, but that's mainly for people who have recovered from addiction, because it is predominantly for people who are in who want to come into recovery from addiction. So hence the 2 weeks is for people to continue their recovery process, if you like, but it's mainly minimum 4 weeks plus. And the reason why I call it Riyadh is because, one, it's in Marrakesh in Morocco. Absolutely beautiful. Please look at the website. You'll see the photographs and the setting that it's in. But Riyadh, R-I-A-D, is basically an abode, or like a palace type, or an exclusive house that people stay in. And that is the best way I can describe the facility, where clients who choose to recover from addiction and who want to go into rehabilitation would come to, in a Riyadh-like setting. And hence I call it Riyadh Recovery Retreat. And I think there aren't many of its kind in terms of on a retreat basis. There's a lot of permanent facilities, but we're having it as a retreat mainly because it's a start, and it's the way I wanted to start it, to see how it would work. But I have everything in place, from fitness, from yoga, meditation, mindfulness, qigong, tai chi, aqua aerobics, equine therapy, art therapy, ungulate therapy. Ungulate is a hoofed animal, which would come under equine therapy, but because obviously Marrakesh is famous for camels, there's camel therapy. I've called it ungulate, but it doesn't sound that attractive, but we'll put it under equine therapy if you like. But it's Atlas Mountains. Your view is the Atlas Mountains. The retreat has a swimming pool, tennis courts. We're talking 7-star double bed en suites. It's incredible. Please check the website. But in addition to that, we have key workers, one-to-ones, counselors, therapists, and of course, myself presenting and educating you with the Buxy recovery process. Yes, there's an option for a 12-step facility, but I know some people don't want a 12-step program. But if you want and you desire it, we can have it. We can arrange it as an optional. There'll be speakers from all over the world that will be coming in on every retreat as well. Renowned speakers in some cases. Doctors and nurses will be on call if you are going for a detox. In addition, maybe heroin or alcohol detox. Housekeeping is there. Security is there. Head chef. The food. Kathy's worthless coming for the food. 4-course gourmet dinners, fresh juices throughout the day, and I mean fresh juices, water throughout the day, teas, coffees. You can have Moroccan cuisine, you can have continental cuisine, Moroccan with the tagines. I mean, I'm so passionate about what we're offering, and what the impact and the change and the transformation it will do to people. It's incredible, and I can safely say it will be one of the best rehab facilities, albeit a retreat, in the world.
Yes.
In the world, TJ Woodward is going to do blogs about it. Louise Stanger, do you know Louise, Dr. Louise Stanger? She's quite high up in the addiction field, and trying to get her involved with it as well. And yeah, it's exciting. There are a few places left for the next retreat, so do contact me through the website. But it's a very reasonable price for what you're getting. There are a lot more expensive ones. Yes, the cheaper ones, but this one is special.
Well,
this is mine. But.
It sounds perfect because for people to really be able to see and create change in their lives, a lot of times they have to get out of their physical environment and be around other people or in a different just a different space in order to really go deep. And so that there is a huge trend of spiritual tourism, but this is the next step where this is working on your personal development at any level. It could be addiction, it could be just personal development. And who, after these 2 years, doesn't want to get out of
exactly.
Get out of their house?
If you don't get anything from it, man, I'll give you your money back. That's how confident I am. It's amazing, and I wish, even though I've done well, I wish I had something like this when I was coming to recovery.
Yeah, of course.
I wish I had someone like me who's been through that, and I can't say I did, but thankfully I did come through it, and I'm still coming through it. Yes, it's a daily mindset battle, but that's the nature of the beast. And as I say, as long as I keep on working the work and putting my process into practice, there's no reason why anyone else can't succeed and continue this fruitful, this journey of serenity, this journey of love, this journey of spirituality, this journey of hope. And it's all about giving a message of hope, and I'm dedicated to doing that for the rest of my life.
Yes, and thank you for everything you do and the example that you're leading for so many people, that there is a way out, that there is a way to have hope. I highly recommend this book. You will see the journey that Saf's been through and picture yourself on the other side as well. So, and although it was entertaining.
Well, that's how we wanted it. And there's a bit of humor in there, isn't there? But I think that's important, Kathy, like you touched upon earlier. Can't be serious about things like this. Yes, it's a serious topic, but if we can chuck a bit of humor in and make it a bit lighthearted, and normalize it in certain ways, but with the vision of getting out of it and reconditioning and coming out of that lifestyle, it's possible, man.
Well, I am so honored to know you, and I hope that everyone in the audience that's watching this now live or on the replay will take a good look at the websites and see how Saf Guru can benefit them, because all of us are working through our stuff. Everybody's working through the luggage, the baggage, the steamer trunks that we're carrying along with us for the past. And we need to be present. Well, let's put it this way. The fun is in the present, and the power, our human capacity to co-create with the universe at a high level is in the present. So Saf, could you tell again, just for people that are not reading, but could you again share what's the best ways to reach you so that people can work with you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, if you want to do some personal work and learn a bit about myself, in addition to reading the book, my website is safbuxy.com. It's quite easy. It's my name, www.safbuxy.com. If you want to learn more about the rehabilitation retreat facility, which I'm extremely excited about, it's www.riad, spelled RIAD, recovery.com, riadrecovery.com. And it's all there. And I forgot to mention, we're doing energy healing as well.
I'm sure I knew you would.
Yeah, I know you're interested in that, yeah.
The spiritual side of this is also, we didn't really focus on it, but Saf is a beautiful, beautiful spiritual being. And so you couldn't be in better hands. If you're ready for a big change, if you're ready to make the step to be all that you can be and to really create this new world that we're all seeing in hope and anticipation of it in landing, then please give yourself the gift of yourself and work with Saf.
Beautiful. Thank you, Kathy. And it means a lot to me. This is my first, possibly only, I don't know, interview of 2022, and it's been a pleasure being with you. Yeah.
Wow, we should have done this before. We'll do it again. Thank you, dear.
Well, you know, it's all God's plan. It's all about the plan and the moment of the time. And if we'd done it before, I may not have even had this retreat. So perfect timing.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you, Saf.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.